Hello, Saurabh sir. Hello, Saurabh sir.
Sir, one nimsha.
Yes. Let's start now. It's connecting. Right. So once you say yes, then we'll start, Saurabh sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Venkatesh sir, shall we start, sir? Venkatesh sir, unmute yourself.
I am setting the tone.
Yeah. Shall we start now?
Yes.
Okay. Right. A very good noon to everyone present here. With a warm greetings, it gives me an immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all the faculties, head of the departments, our respected principal sir. Though in his absentia, I welcome sir also, and I welcome all the students, Professor Venkatesh sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Language, Convener, SSC, for this session on Are We Awake? By a resource person, Dr. Swarup Sharma, Dr. Swarup Ranganathan, right? And I welcome our department faculties, Dr. Jaya Patil, our head of the department, BA, and Professor Nagaratna ML, Assistant Professor, Senior Professor, Psychology. So, behalf of the institution, I welcome everyone. And let me introduce one of my close friends, Dr. Swarup Ranganathan. Guys, we worked together, I think, way back in 2007 till 2015 in Jain University, the same department, right? Dr. Swarup Ranganathan holds a master degree in psychotherapy, counseling, and Sanskrit. He has a doctoral degree in psychology from University of Mysore, right? He's currently working with Jain University in the department called, very unique department called HNA, Human Networking Academy, right? And he trains over 3,000 students in a year in terms of psychological well-being and innovation, right? So as an independent researcher, he is an independent researcher also. He has developed 27 modules to understand human mind and human behavior, which has been appreciated from the Association of Indian Psychologists and other Western associations of psychology. So he's the co-founder of Sattva, that is Sanskrit Academy for Teacher Training and Value Addition. Through this organization, he and his team are striving to bring in some sort of a good change in the society and others' life, right? He has organized and executed the world's first Vedic concert. The credit goes to him. He has organized and executed world's first Vedic concert. Recently, as a team, right, he won the Taekwondo 2021. Through this competition, he and his team created the world's first playing cards to learn Sanskrit effortlessly and joyfully. Right? So, Dr. Swarup Ranganathan, welcome to our session. Thank you for accepting this invitation and gracefully accepting this invitation. Thank you very much. And now I request Professor Venkatesh BB sir to introduce the theme of this session. Over to Venkatesh sir. Sir, unmute yourself, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Very good afternoon to everybody. I personally welcome Mr. Dr. Swarup for having accepted our invitation to address our students. I also thank Dr. Venugopal for organizing such an important webinar, which would make our students open their eyes and start working on their own potentials. Dear students, imagine a world without eyes. Imagine a world with all people without eyes. How it would be? Probably we will not be able to even imagine. To narrow down the vision, imagine there's a football match and all the players are blind. All the players are blindfolded. If not blind, blindfolded. Imagine there are world famous footballers, the best of the best footballers, but blindfolded. And there is one person who is no way connected to football, who has not played football in his lifetime. He is against this particular team with the best of the best footballers of the world, blindfolded. Imagine there is one person who is not blindfolded playing against the team of best footballers, and you know the result. The match starts and you know the result. The advantage of having eyes is it will keep us awake, it will keep us alert, it will keep us wakeful, it will make us know what is around us. In this context, he is the person who is having all the advantage in the world. The person who is awake, the person who is alert, has all the advantage in the world to do whatever he wants. Correct? So in this background, only a person who is awake, alert, can achieve whatever he aims at, whatever he or she aims at. Sarvendriyanam Nayanam Pradhanam. Sarvendriyanam, of all the indriyas, of all the 5 indriyas, Nayanam, that is eyes, is the most important. This is what the scriptures do say. So with eyes, we can achieve anything. With eyes is not just the physical eyes, it is the concept of being wakeful, being able to see things. And life is something which we have to live to its full extent. It is not just a simple life that we are supposed to live here. We are supposed to live life to full extent. Only then we will be able to achieve to the best extent of our potentials. So in this background, the Department of Psychology is making a sincere attempt in making all of us understand the importance of being wakeful. Importance of being wakeful. And how to be wakeful, how to remain wakeful, these concepts, I'm sure Dr. Swaroop will be able to help us understand. So in this context, we have a very eminent speaker, very eminent, thoughtful person who has given a lot of thoughts into this particular angle, dimension of human personality, who has spent a lot of time with youngsters in particular. So Dr. Swaroop, I think he will be doing all the justice to the subject and helping our students to understand this particular aspect. Dr. Venugopal, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Venkatesh BV, sir. Thank you very much for setting a tone. Thank you. Now it's time that the resource person would take over the session. Swaroop, sir, please, it's your turn. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Namaste, dear friends. So, as we now go towards the theme of today's session, I would want to start my session with a very quick video. And as I share the screen, we all move towards that. And once we are done with watching that particular video, let us come back to it. Yeah. So is the video visible?
No, sir. Please share your screen, I think. It's not visible.
Now?
Yeah, now you can play now. Play.
So I request all of you to pay a lot of attention to this. Yes. Let us see what happens here in the next 50 seconds. Well, so if you notice this entire clipping, you will understand something wonderful. Generally, the perception is this. Perception number one, the deer was trying to protect its life. Deer was desirous to live. At the most, we think deer was trying to make sure it lives happily. It had its own way of thinking of happiness, so it can execute to live a happy life only if it is alive. But what aspect probably most of us wouldn't have ever thought about in this context is, it is not that it was desirous of living. It was not that it wanted to escape, but it was genuinely awake. The other aspects take the second and the third role, or the second and the third purpose. The secondary and the tertiary purpose, what was it? It was desirous of living and it escaped itself. But the primary aspect, what we need to focus here is this, that the deer was optimally awake. You know what, my dear friends? Generally, if you ask people what constitutes a success, people will tell you that which constitutes success: one, determination; two, being focused; three, being very dedicated, punctual, and then they will go on to tell you as to how we need to plan, how we need to have time-bound goals. There are so many things which they talk about, but nobody speaks about optimizing your wakeful state. You know what? If your wakeful state is not optimized, however dedicated you are, however punctual you are, however focused you are, however determined you are, how much of a rigor and vigor you add to the purpose, and how much ever surrendering you show to the specific goal, and however smart the goal is, however relevant it is to your life, all of these things will just fall apart if you don't know how to optimize your wakeful state. Imagine this, my dear friends. I assure to all of you today that from tomorrow, you will be awake optimally for 21 hours a day with only 3 hours of sleep. You know what, my dear friends? Most of you would reject my proposal. Most of you would reject this wish of mine. Most of you would turn off from me. Most of you wouldn't want to meet me ever. You know why? It's not that staying awake for 21 hours for the rest of the life is difficult. But what we don't know is what to do for those 21 hours a day. I'm very sure none of us plan our life. And if at all we plan, we don't execute. But one thing for sure, probably 99.99% of the humanity doesn't plan its life to be awake for 21 hours. Because the humanity doesn't know what it is to be awake for 21 hours and what it is to do something for 21 hours. And if somebody tells me it is illogical that body requires 6 hours of sleep, let me negate this claim of the science and the psychology that the body requires 6 hours of sleep. It is a myth, basically. I'm sure all of you would have at least once worn the Fitbit or something like that. And if you ever try to integrate this with the mobile phone or the mobile app which you use, you would have noticed it multiple times. It says deep sleep 2.5 hours, lying on the bed 7 hours, 8 hours. So even if we sleep for 10 complete hours, our deep sleep content, deep sleep is a state where there are no dreams. Our deep sleep content is not more than 2.5 hours. Rest of the time we were lying on the bed. That's the accurate measurement. If you have the best of the Fitbits, that is the accurate measurement you get. And in reality, the body actually requires only 3 hours of sleep. Thorough sleep, deep sleep, not a sleep which is disturbed, not a sleep which is having dreams in it. Okay, a deep sleep, just 3 hours of it. But unfortunately, we have built this myth and are celebrating our ignorance that a human body requires 6 hours of sleep, which is not a reality. And there are people who will also tell you to have 8 hours of sleep, which is not a reality. Anyhow, how do we achieve that state? Or is really sleep important, or should we sleep for 8 hours, 6 hours, or should we dream or not, or do we have any control over dream or not, is not something part of this particular webinar. So today I would want to get into the details of wakeful state. Let us today understand what it is to be awake. Let us today understand what it is to understand wakefulness. And more importantly, let us try and understand if there are substates of wakeful state. Because if I ask you, what do you do the entire day? Imagine you're awake for about 14 hours, 15 hours, and if I ask you, what do you do for 14, 15 hours? We have done so many things, and we don't remember any of those things what we have done in the last few years. Yeah. And now the question is, what is this wakeful state all about? To understand this, we need to understand two things. One, the functionalities, or otherwise I put it across in the way as this, the subsets. So the first subset of wakeful state is this, my dear friends. The first subset is this. I call this the state of inebriation or the state of influence. There are two names I give. Imagine, my dear friends, somebody is high on alcohol. What would you call that state as? Would you call that state as a hypnotic state? No. Would you call that state as sleep? No. Would you call that state as imagination? No. Would you call that state as a state of dreams? No. What is it basically? The state of inebriation itself is a state wherein you are awake, yet you are absolutely not aware of your wakeful state. So I start with one end of the spectrum, wherein I want to introduce you all to a very peculiar state where you have no control over the self, absolutely no control over the self, yet you are wakeful. That is a state of inebriation. Inebriation is when you've consumed alcohol, or drugs, or tobacco, or anything which is an external agent which enters your body. It takes control over you, so much so that you hardly have any connection with your body and mind. You don't even know what is happening to you. This is a very poor state. This is a very poor state. This will not help you achieve big things in life. You know what? There are people who claim in front of me, telling me that my wish, my life, I have freedom over my life. I want to drink. What is your problem? I really have no problem if somebody consumes alcohol. In fact, you add a lot of tax to the government, and you are the strong pillar of the government. I have no issues with you. But don't tell that my life, my freedom. You know what? If you ever tell I have freedom, I am independent, that is the greatest myth. You have only independence till the alcohol enters your body. From then on, you have no independence whatsoever. You are dependent on you are absolutely, unconditionally dependent on the alcohol and the chemicals. And the chemicals are moving you. You are not having any control over the body. Independence is when I voluntarily take control of whatever I want. Freedom is when I have the independence to take control of whatever I want. Let us not call consumption of alcohol as independence and freedom or our choice. At the most, I can call it as your desire. That's all. You have a desire to consume alcohol, but don't, my life, my wish, my freedom, my independence. Freedom and independence doesn't work there. The moment alcohol enters your body, you are the slave of the liquor now. You're the slave of the liquor now. You're the slave of those chemicals which have attacked you now. Yeah. So let us be cautious about our words. And there is a similar state. This state I call it as a state of influence. A state of influence. There might not be a chemical which has attacked you, but there is something happens now. You look at a wonderful ad. You look at a wonderful ad, now you want to buy that. You really don't have the need at all. You don't have to have that with you. You are so influenced by the beauty of the ad that it has taken over you completely. You want to do it. It can be a thought, it can be an idea, it can be a music. Okay. why this Kolaberry almost ruled this country for about 2.5, 3 months or a little more than that. It captivated you, it influenced you so much, it entered deep into you. You want it or not, you put it in the loop and you went on and on and on and on and on. It had influenced you so much that you were not anymore under your control, you were under the control of the song. Rather, you listened to song, the song told you to listen to it. So these are two unhealthy states of living. And if we are living our life like this, it's a horrible state. I don't know how many of you know Kannada, but in Kannada, there is a beautiful statement. There is a phrase, or there is an axiom, or there is a proverb. Parents used to scold us when we were youngsters, you know. People of this generation will know what it is to get scolded that way. Swanta buddhinu illa, beroru maatu kelala. So you neither have the ability to think on your own, neither do you listen to others. So what does it mean? You are not listening to your own self, nor you're listening to some wise people. Rather, you're caught up by something stupid, something ignorant, something foolish, something unwanted, something irrelevant, something insignificant. So this getting influenced is to get caught up with something insignificant to life, irrelevant to life, which doesn't add much value to you. This is the state of inebriation and influence. This is state one. I'll come back to this a little later. Let us now take to the stage two, or the subset two of wakeful state. I call this a state of distraction. Even here, we hardly have any control over ourselves, but there is at least some control. What do I mean by this? Imagine this, my dear friends. I am sitting now with my closest friend. I last week was on the way to Mysore, and I did see there is a beautiful highway coming up, and the discussion started. I told, man, Mysore is an amazing place now, because you can just reach that place in just a matter of 2 hours or 1.5 hours. It's as good as going between JP Nagar and Electronic City. Now you can set up a huge industry at Mysore. You can travel within 1.5 hours, and that's going to make your life beautiful and easy. And we started our discussion. After a few minutes, it suddenly went to the idea of, Mysore is very popular for masala dosa. So we started off this discussion with the new highway coming up between Bangalore and Mysore. From Mysore, we went to Mysore masala dosa. Suddenly from masala, we went to the idea of masala puri. From masala puri, as we were talking about it, we suddenly thought about Puri Jagannath. Especially this is the month when Puri Jagannath is very popular for its chariot. And from Puri Jagannath, we went to Orissa, and we realized in Orissa is the only place on this planet where, in this country where seagulls are abundantly available. From seagulls, we went to the Bay of Bengal Sea. That's where most of these come. From Bay of Bengal, we went to Bengal. From Bengal, we went to Rasagulla. From Rasagulla, we went to Golgappa, because Golla and Golgappa appears very similar. From Golgappa, our mind went on and on and on. We had a discussion. Then recently, with whom did we have Golgappa? We had this discussion. And then we started discussing how this fellow who had recently served as Golgappa had come from Uttar Pradesh. From Uttar Pradesh, we went to Yogi Adityanath. From Yogi Adityanath, we thought about yogis of this country who live in Himalaya supposedly. Yet we have not seen them, but we think they are there. From Himalayas, we decided to take up an assignment of trekking in the upcoming April. And this is how our life is, my dear friends, predominantly. It's funny but true. We started off with Mysore masala dosa, or rather the Mysore-Bangalore highway. From Mysore, we went to Mysore masala dosa. From masala, we went to masala puri. From Puri Jagannath. From Puri Jagannath, we went to Orissa. From Orissa, we went to seagulls. From sea, we went to Bay of Bengal. From Bay of Bengal, we went to Bengal. From Bengal, we went to Rasgulla to Golgappa. From Golgappa to the fellow who was serving us, the Uttar Pradesh guy. From Uttar Pradesh, we went to Yogi Adityanath. From the word Yogi, we went to Himalayas. And then finally, we ended up signing up for an assignment of trekking through Youth Hostel Association, maybe for the upcoming 2022 April. This is how life is. This is how our thoughts are. Every single moment, if you sit quietly and calmly and try and focus and go back and ask, what was your first thought of the day? You don't know. What were you thinking a few moments ago? You don't know. What was the first thought, when you heard this theme? Oh, webinar, if we don't come to this I don't get attendance. Probably this is how you started. Probably most of you did not even bother to know what was the theme of the webinar or topic of the webinar. Isn't it? So consistently, our mind is just running in all places. Our thoughts are distracted. There is no supremacy of our thoughts. Our thoughts are not under control at all. Even this state, in the wakeful state, this happens very much in the wakeful state. This movement from one thought to another happens very much in the wakeful state, nothing else. It doesn't happen in the dreams. It doesn't happen in the deep sleep. Of course, in deep sleep, you have no thoughts at all. This happens in the wakeful state. But you know what, my dear friends? Here too, there is very little command you have over yourself. My dear friends, remember, when a dog wags the tail, it looks beautiful. But if the tail wags the dog, it looks funny, it looks very horrible as well. If we have to begin the life, the first thing we need to understand is this: life begins when we take control over our life, not when we let our life to be itself. In the first two states, my dear friends, what has happened is completely the life is on its own. It is doing whatever it wants. We don't know. We are not participating at all in it. We are hardly participating. We're hardly participating. Then comes a third state. This I call is a state of dilemma. This is much better, much better than the first two states. You know what? In the state of dilemma, there is something like this. In the state of dilemma, there is something like this. You know what is there? I'll give an example for this. I've just finished my 10th standard or 10th grade. Now I'm wondering, what do I do in my 11th standard or 11th grade or first PUC? Should I choose commerce? Should I choose arts? Should I choose science? Should I choose science? Should I choose arts? Should I choose commerce? Commerce, arts, science, science, arts, commerce, commerce, arts, science. So the mind is now running between three important ideas. Three important ideas. Here, what is beautiful about life is this: I have a control over my choice. And once I have control over my choice, that is between the three, I move voluntarily. I go understand the depth of arts. How can it be helpful to me? I'm under deep control, greater control of arts. I'm trying to analyze arts now. But then I wonder, this is not so good. Let me come to the science now. I go in-depth analysis. I do an in-depth analysis of science now. This way, that way, I search around. Then I go to commerce now. How can this be useful to me? Then I again come to. So now I'm constantly moving, voluntarily moving, willfully moving. I am doing as per my wishes. I'm moving between these three. Sometimes three can be replaced by 4 or 5 ideas. Maybe I need to buy a house. How do I buy a house? There are 3-4 ideas which pop up to you. You move between. Should I take a loan from the bank, or should I take a loan by pledging my gold, or should I ask my father who has a lot of money in the bank, or should I go for some other means of buying the money, buying the house? So my mind is running between 3-4 areas, 5-6 areas. So yet it is very much under my control. My move is my mind and the thoughts therein are moving along with me. And this is the third state of dilemma. But now imagine I finally decided to take up commerce in my 10th standard, in my first PUC or 11th standard or 11th grade. So now what do? I am now into the next state. The next state is called as the state of focus, or the state of one-pointedness, So what is the state of one-pointedness? This state of one-pointedness is a state wherein I am completely involved in that. What am I doing? I'm only now focusing on commerce. Every aspect of commerce. I am getting into the depth of the commerce. I'm just going so deep into the commerce that my mind is not distracted by anything around me. There is only commerce. And I have total control over me. It is not the commerce which is capturing me. It is not the commerce which is telling me what to do. It is not the ideas of commerce which have captivated me or influenced me. Rather, I am voluntarily making sense of this idea of commerce. I am taking control over it. I have seen some use and purpose of the idea of commerce. Now I am deciphering all of these ideas around commerce very, very thoughtfully. This state is much, much higher. This is what we call in Hindi, in many other languages, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, almost all the languages, ekagra. When we were children, people of our generation used to get a proper scolding, in the class. Ekagrata illa mundedike. Okay, if I'm sitting in the classroom like this and my mind is elsewhere, they used to tell ekagrata illa ninge. Ekagrata illa means you don't have an ekagra. Eka agra. Agra means a point. Eka means one pointedness or being in the state of focus. This is much, much, much higher. And now the last stage. I'll go one step ahead of ekagra, the one step ahead of state of focus. Now I enter the state of flow. Flow is a beautiful state. It's a very popular state which you would have discussed in your psychology classrooms, probably. Flow is a state wherein you are doing something, you're so involved in it, you don't even know that you're doing. For example, you're in your sister's marriage. Yeah. You have so many things to do. Your brother's marriage, there's so many things to do. Somebody is married very close to you. There's so many things to do. You have to get, the hall ready, the food ready, welcome the guests in the most beautiful manner. You have to arrange a lot of things which will bring about a great impact on the guests who have come there. Hospitality is one of the greatest things about marriages, and you have to take care of those priests who are chanting some mantras, and you have to attend completely every where possible, and you are completely lost. If somebody comes and tells you something, you are like, let this marriage get over. I can't think of anything else now. This is a state of flow. Sometimes you're reading a book. Completely into that book, and you don't know anything else what is happening to you. You're just there in that book. Completely there in that book. Maybe you're in a deep pain. Imagine you picked up some wound. When you picked up some wound, have you noticed there is an involuntary state? This is not a state which I'm talking about. I don't want you to do this. But a state of flow is experienced very rarely, involuntarily though. What happens there? You pick up a wound, your mind is only on the wound, nowhere else. Your mind is only on the pain. But that is involuntary. Be careful. I'm not talking about involuntary things here. When I talk a state of flow, I'm referring to a voluntary state, wherein I choose to get into that and I get lost in it. Where I choose to listen to the music, there is a wonderful music turned on. I don't even know what is happening to me. The state of flow. My dear friends, I take an open challenge today. I have challenged this all of my life. When I say all of my life, for the last 12, 13 years, to many, many scholars, teachers, students, and told them, rather ask them to show me a sixth state beyond these five. Our entire life is in these five states. Day in, day out, I am either in the first state, in the state of influence, inebriation. I am in the distracted state. I am in the dilemma state, in the state of focus, or in the state of flow. And your quality of life, is purely determined by the quality of state you choose to live in. If your quality of life is beautiful, you are accepted, you're acknowledged, you're appreciated, you are the center of the attraction, you're admired, you're adored, people come behind you because of your sadhana, because of your achievements, because of your greatness. It is because not you are in the state of distractions and inebriation or influence. Inebriation, influence, the two sides of the same coin. It still belongs to the first state. If you are going to live a beautiful life, if you are going to be the center of attraction, if you are going to be called a successful woman or a successful man, if people think you are somebody upon whom life is investing worth it, then you are somebody naturally who is in state 4 and state 5, the state of focus and the state of flow. If you are in 3, you are somebody who is still trying to make some idea out of life, trying to make some meaning out of life. But if you are in state 1 and 2, my dear friends, let me tell you, you're not even living a life. Somebody else is living your life on your behalf. You have become a pawn in their game. That's the reason I told you in the beginning of my talk that when chemical enters your body through the drugs or through the alcohol, you are nowhere in the life today. You are not even in the picture of your own life. Imagine a funny situation where you have gone to your own marriage, but you are not in the picture of your own marriage. It is the most embarrassing situation. And you know what? If you are not in the picture of your own life, that is nothing but more embarrassing. The chemicals have taken so much of control. Your body movement, the movement of the limbs, the movement of the organs, everything the chemicals decide. You don't decide. And yet, what is that we are claiming day in, day out, that I am independent, I am free, I can do whatever I want. Independent are those who have control, who have voluntary control over things. The rest of them don't make any impact in life, my dear friends. Neither to themselves, nor to others. Neither to themselves, nor to others. This is the reality, let me tell you. Now, the question would be, not why should we be in 3, 4, and 5. If you are asking me why should we be in 3, 4, and 5, probably we are not having a debate. It is a stupid argument. I wouldn't want to get into that. You know, if you are going to celebrate state 1 and 2 and tell, so this is ultimate, I would say congratulations. All the best. Thank you so much. Be there. But if you are somebody who would want to enter state 3, state 4, and state 5 and remain there for the entire duration throughout the day, and if you want us from 3 to go towards 4, 4 to go towards 5, and spend more and more time there, then there is something which we can discuss today. There is something which we can make sense out of each other's presence. Otherwise, there is no point taking this discussion ahead. So before I go ahead, if anybody wants to ask me a question, I will try to take up the question. And I hope this is making some sense. In case you have any doubts, in case you think you have not understood anything, something like that, you can always give me a quick feedback also. I should be able to integrate your feedback and your question and then go ahead. Okay. So I keep telling a lot of my teachers, a lot of my colleagues. I used to tell, there was a point when all the teachers used to tell, don't talk in the class, don't talk in the class, and don't talk in the class. Now there has come a point when teachers tell, talk in the class, and talk in the class, yet no one responds. Okay, I used to tell all of my colleagues. Anyhow, there is one question finally. Yes, go ahead, Gagan. Yes, Gagan. How to get out of a situation? What situation are you referring to? I have created now 5 situations in front of you. What situation you want to get out of? Like comfort zone. Okay. So I will definitely touch upon this in the upcoming stages. I will tell you what it is. I'll tell you very soon what it is. But now, anyhow, that's part of my lecture, how to come out of comfortable zone. Yeah, it's part of my lecture, my dear friends. In case you have any other question, you can just put it in the chat box. I would answer them. I want to ask some more. Okay, Gagan, let's do one thing. I think you will be allowed to unmute yourselves at the end of the session. We will try and take up your questions very soon, Gagan. Yeah. So you have asked me the first question, the primary question as to how do we come out of situations like comfort zone? I will definitely answer that in the process. Okay. So now let me spend another 15 minutes now, a solid 15 minutes now, to explain you the beauty of state 3, state 4, and state 5, and how do we enter there and how do we go and stay there. So now the first thing I need to tell you all regarding state 3 is this. State 3, as I stated earlier, is a state of distractions. Sorry, as a state of dilemma. Dilemma happens to you when you move between these 3 states consistently. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, multiple, sometimes even 4, 5, 6 ideas. It is still appreciated. So long as you have things to work upon, you are very much appreciated. But now, I want to help you all revisit your life, my dear friends. I want to help you all revisit your own definition of life and help you all revisit your structure and nature of the life. Today I see there is a huge trend which is developing across the globe. This is a very, very dangerous trend. Especially I've seen youngsters caught up in this trend. Okay. There is a belief that I don't want to work. I will just be myself. There is a belief that I want to have an early retirement. There is a belief that I will go to any situation. I don't want to do anything, yet I want all the rewards. This is a peculiar state. So I give you a political example of this. This is in the language of politics is called as freebies. It's called as freebies. Many political parties across this country, especially during the time of elections, they give you a lot of free things. Okay. There's one political party people used to make fun of. It's in the southern part of the country. You know, that particular party used to give a mixer grinder, a washing machine, a cycle, a laptop, all things, a TV, a refrigerator, everything. And once that particular party gives all of these things, all of these freebies, once the election is over, and throughout the next 5 years of term, there never used to be electricity at all for people to use it. Okay, so this was the funny aspect. But over a period of time, irrespective of the electricity was there or not, power was there or not for people to access these gadgets or these home appliances or whatever you want to call them as. So, you know what, my dear friends, people got used to it. They got used to free rice bags. They got used to free food. You don't have to work. All that you have to do is stand in front of a canteen. And you're considered to be poor, and somebody cooks for you. Somebody pays tax. Somebody gets the money. Somebody uses the money. Somebody gets the food. This was a total mess. So this is one idea which has become very popular these days. I got many people telling me, why should I work so hard? But nobody asked me, why should I, nobody asked me, how can I have less rewards for life? Nobody asked me. Have you ever gone and asked somebody, how do I experience less rewards for life? You all want optimum rewards for life, isn't it? But we have somehow gotten to this idea of early retirement. And I make fun of my friends and, nothing like early retirement. Why? So as I told you, I want all of you to think about this novel concept which I propose now. I am very sure this concept which I propose now is not in the mainstream. It is not shown to you by your ads. It is not spoken amongst in the academics. Okay, and this is an idea which needs to be discussed. This is an idea which needs to be thought about. My dear friends, please answer for yourselves. You don't have to answer me. Have you noticed your entire life, except for the deep sleep state, however, how many hours they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, irrespective of the number of hours, when you're in deep sleep state, except for that period, your entire life, you want it or not, you are part of some activity, you are part of some action. And that action can be constructive, destructive. That action can be useful, unuseful, important, unimportant, meritorious, non-meritorious. It can be relevant to you, it can't be relevant to you. It is significant to you, insignificant to you. Whatever the status of the actions are, right now as all of you are sitting, you want it or not, you forget all those principles behind what you want, what you don't want, what you need, what you don't need. Forget all those principles. Right now, you are into some activity. And after this activity is over, after the webinar, some other activity comes. Please understand, life is equal to activities. There is never a moment of life wherein you tell there are no activities at all. There is a very popular book called Bhagavad Gita in this country. There is a beautiful statement Krishna says, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatutisthati akarma kritu. He says, dear Arjuna, there is not a single moment in life when you can be in a state of no action. Action is integrated to your life. Then he further says, karmajyayosya karmanaha. So anyhow, life is full of activities. The next question is, why don't you do activities which are constructive? Why don't you do activities which are productive? Why don't you do activities which are going to elevate you, which are going to add growth into you, which are going to add evolution into you, which is going to add maturity into your life. You can introspect on this, my dear friends. You can come back to me any day, any time. I will leave my phone numbers with you, my email ID with you. Never there is a moment of life when you will tell there is no activity. If there is no activity, the only state where there is no activity is deep sleep. Even in dream, there is an imaginatory actions happening. Now, if life is synonymous to actions, my humble question to you, my simplest of the questions to you is, anyhow life is filled with activities, why don't you make those activities constructive, productive, celebratory, that helps you to reach your higher potentials? The problem is, we all think, I am not into any activity, I will enjoy my laziness. But you don't forget that even when you are lazy, when you are playing a game repetitively again and again for 3 years across your bachelor degree, that game is also nothing but an activity. Just that it is not relevant and significant to your growth, evolution, and maturity. But you can't escape from an activity. So activity is part of your life. What is the quality of the activity is determined by how optimally you use your wakeful state. So it is in this context of how you optimally utilize your wakeful state, I am presenting for the next 10 minutes how to utilize our wakeful state in state of dilemma, state of focus, and state of flow. So state of flow is the highest state. It's not easy to achieve. Not easy to achieve. Of course, state of dilemma and focus is something we have control over. So what is state of dilemma? Let us now get into the depths of the idea of state of dilemma. So state of dilemma means this. I have a few actions in front of me. I want to achieve them. But I have 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I don't know what to achieve. I don't know what is important to me. But it looks like everything is important. All the 6 looks like important. All the 6 feels like, okay, without this, my life doesn't go ahead. All the 6 seems very, very important, my dear. Very, very important. So now, my question is, how do we choose what is important? Here, I need to add a very important point. Very important point. Please pay attention to this. Guys, you know what? There's something very strange about life. We all, as human beings, are very, very insecure. We are so insecure that we don't believe others easily. Imagine there are two profiles required for a company, and you have been chosen and your closest friend has been chosen. You know what? From the day you both have been chosen, you are unknowingly into a competition. You're unknowingly trying to become the better than the other, and you are insecure that if one day only one profile is required, rather let it be me, that fellow, who will retain my profile, not the other person. Unknowingly, we are very competitive. We are so competitive that we end up becoming insecure. Do you know why we are like this? There is a reason to this, my dear friends. I'll tell you why. You know what? I have asked many, many people as to what is the purpose of life. Nobody has given me a beautiful answer till date. I met some close to 500,000 people in my life. I've met close to 500,000 people in my life. I've tried to understand. I have gone to the nook and corner of cities and towns. I've spent time with people. I've tried to know what is the purpose of life, but nobody gave me an answer. But it was on one such occasion, I met a great man. He gave a wonderful definition to what is life. He told, Swaroop, in life, not all of us can achieve everything. I will repeat. In life, Swaroop, not all of us can achieve everything. We need to achieve whatever we think is our strength. And he says beautifully, if you want, I can make a note of the statement. It's a wonderful statement. If you use your strength fully to remove somebody's weakness, your weakness will be removed by somebody who is much stronger than you. For example, let us assume that there is one person in this batch of 170 odd whose strength is to be a teacher. And he is an amazing, or she is an amazing teacher. So what is the fundamental job of a teacher? To teach, to empower the child and eliminate the ignorance, enhance the thought process, enlarge the power of creativity, enrich the imaginations. Isn't it? So now the teacher doesn't know how to pay his or her tax completely on one's own, on one's own way, or voluntarily doesn't know how to go about and pay the tax. This teacher who is having amazing strength in helping students become better knows that her weakness is not to deal with the tax as well. So automatically that teacher, he or she, creates such a strong ecosystem that automatically people looking at her strength will understand this is her strength. She has a weakness. Now with her strength or with his strength, she is doing so much to the society. Let us now take her weakness. Let us help her. Let us help her pay her taxes. And you know what, my dear friends? Today we are talking not about specializations. Today we are not talking about wholesome growth. Today we are not talking about mastery. Today we are talking about shallow growth. People tell you have to be a versatile personality. You need to be an all-rounder. You need to know everything. This is a myth, my dear friends. Knowing everything is impossible. Remember one thing. Use all your energy to develop your strength so much so that you become the strongest in that capacity, that you use your strength to eliminate the weakness of 25 people, 40 people, 100 people, and your weakness is solved by somebody who has a strength much more than yours in a particular area. So now what is then dilemma? How do we understand it now? Dilemma, a state of dilemma, is a constant state where I'm able to find what my strength is. But you know what is the problem? Even after 40 years, sorry to make this statement, I am not trying to hurt anybody. In case you're hurt, that still gives me joy, because certain times hurting people meaningfully gives me joy. Go and ask people who are at the age of 40 to 50, ask them what is your strength. They will still tell you, I am looking after it. I am just wondering what my strength is. I don't know what my strength is. At the age of 40, 45, still they don't know what their strength is. Come on, guys. How is it possible? It means people have lived in a state of dilemma only forever, still trying to figure out what is their strength. Dilemma is a very powerful state, no doubt. But if you stay with that forever, you will become a jack of all, master of none. You will never achieve that statement which your teacher told, which your principal told, live life to the fullest. You will live life to the quarter. How do you understand quarter is your language? So you will never live life to the fullest. You live life to the quarter, one by or a little less than that, less than the quarter. Okay, half of the quarter. So what happens is this, my dear friends, state of dilemma is a wonderful state. We should celebrate it. Only in the early stages of life that I have too many things in front of me. When I look at Kohli batting, I want to become a cricketer. When I look at Michael Jackson dancing, I want to become a dancer. When I look at Sonu Nigam singing, I want to become a singer. When I look at somebody playing video games, I want to become a gamer. When I look at Ambani, I want to become an entrepreneur. When I look at Vijay Mallya, I want to do less work and spend more time in my flight drinking alcohol. And eventually, when you get to know he is somebody who is a criminal, you want to take your mind away from him. Okay, so at every point of time, the young age is like this, whatever fascinating you look like, you want to become that. Now, those 6 things, 10 things you look at as most fascinating things, you will think, this is my bucket list, I will achieve all of these things. But you know what? Your father was like that, your mother was like that. For generations, people have been like this. At 16 to 22, they want to become everything. Unfortunately, by the time they get into their first job, 22 to 23, they will have no choice but to work for something, and they would have never found their strength. And once they get into their job, they will start finding their strength forcibly in the context of the job. So neither are they strong in their job, nor did they find their strength when they were young, and they will remain in dilemma forever. So dilemma is only the first step of optimizing your wakeful state. Dilemma is the state where I will try and figure out what is the right area I would step into. I make fun of our youngsters all the time. You know what? I tell our youngsters, especially youngsters, I have a great respect for Osama bin Laden. You know what? Most youngsters here, you can't even enter Vidhan Saudha without a pass. Vidhan Saudha is the Parliament House of Karnataka. I'm not trying to wrongly motivate you. Take the example in the right spirit. Don't later blame me for if anything goes wrong in your life. I'm only giving an example in the right spirit. We can't enter Vidhan Saudha without a pass. There is so much of security. Osama bin Laden entered the heart of America. He destroyed it. I'm not glorifying him. That's not my point. You know what? This man knew what was his strength. He focused upon his strength. He lived with this strength. However destructive it was, he did achieve whatever he wanted to achieve. I repeat, I am not trying to tell you all to have him as a motivation, have him as a role model. Even though he was destructive with his thought processes, he was very focused, very much up to the mark of what he was doing, because he had decided my strength isn't destroying somebody. And how do I destroy it? I will destroy very tactically. So he built an ecosystem to destroy somebody tactically. So dilemma is a state wherein I am figuring out what I want. I am figuring out what I want. Please understand this, my dear friends. Please understand this. So now, then, once you figure out what you want, whatever it is that gives you the joy, then it is time you put your mind completely into it, what we call as focus. The problem is, there are many people whom I know have chosen what their life path is, but they don't still spend time with it. They never spend time with it. Okay? See, it is like, you know what you want in life, but I won't do it. But I don't know what I don't want in life, yet I do it. Such a funny statement, no? I know what I want in life, I won't do it. I know what I don't want in life, yet I do it. This is not the way to live life, my dear friends. Once you choose what your strength is, once you decide this is going to build my strength in the state of dilemma, now you move towards the state of focus with a lot of joy. Once you move to the state of focus, you remain there. You remain so well established that you only work with that idea. You look at all highly successful people on this planet. All highly successful people on this planet are those people who are with their favorite idea, working day in and day out, to an extent that they will go into the state of flow. They forget themselves. They forget themselves. I want to give an example out of one person's life. I don't want to take the name and all. There was a great scholar in Mysore, and it happened so that he started writing a book. Okay. He was somebody who was in the state of focus. He started writing a book. In a span of less than 1 year, he even forgot that he had got married. He continued to live the pre-marriage at the bachelor state. He used to cook his own food, because for 3 months the wife waited. She had to eventually run off. She couldn't stay. And after about 14 years, he finished his book. And it happened so by then that lady came in, very curious to know what this guy was doing. After 13, 14 years, he had become somebody who was so close to the state of flow that he had no clue as to what was happening around except for writing this book. And eventually it happened so that this lady came and told him, you had once married me, but then your life was different. And in the last, those were the days when, the societal structure was different. This lady came and told, I went back to my parents' place. I have remained like this. Do I expect to come back to this house, and do you expect me to live with you? And this guy was totally disoriented. He did not know what was happening. He told, do you mind coming back tomorrow? And when she came back tomorrow, he had some idea of what all had happened in his life. And he fell at her feet, apologized, and told, sorry, what I've done for you. I wasted 14 years of your life. I would now lead a better life from today. I would try to manage my life between finding that state of flow and focus. With that, they restarted their married life. Okay. This is how what a state of flow can do to you. I've heard many scientists who are in their laboratory for 14 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours. I end this session with the last example. One of my closest friends who works with ISRO, he used to tell me during the Chandrayaan, they used to stay in the ISRO institute, that is, for about 48 hours, sometimes 8-10 days. They never used to come out of it. They were in the flow. Food used to come. They used to use the washrooms here and there. Go, no rest, hardly any rest. Whenever they're tired, they used to just sleep somewhere wherever they found space. They were just in that. They never went back home. That's the highest state a man can achieve. However, state of focus is all what we can aim at this point of time, because to achieve that state itself is a great challenge, because our mind is consistently still aiming at 100 things. The day you realize life is all about developing strength, so much so that you will remove the weakness of 100 people and your weakness is taken care by somebody who is much stronger than you. Then you will put all your energy, your mind, your heart, your thoughts at one place. And that is one of the greatest things you can achieve in this life, my dear friends. Think about this. Thank you so much. So, Venugopal sir, are you letting people?
Yes. Please, sir.
We
have quite a number of queries here. If you could please, shall I read out the questions? Shall I read out the questions for you?
Venugopal.
Yes. Shall I read out the questions for you?
No, I can read them for myself. My question is, are you letting some people unmute or just I have to read those questions?
Yeah. Let me try to unmute them.
Okay. So, life, Kunal's maybe they know strength but not confident about it. The questions here. So, I take up the first question from Kunal Sahu. Life is something which is defined by our own actions, and everything that we have in our life, whether it may be joy, sorrow, pain, or anything, it's given by others but defined by our own actions. Yes, Kunal Sahu, your life is defined by your actions. You have told it perfectly. Life is equal to activity or actions. Your life is determined by your actions. If your actions are constructive, your life will be constructive. If your actions are destructive, your life will be destructive. But remember one thing, life is all about how you optimally utilize your wakeful state. And I've shown you 5 dimensions of wakeful state. How do we turn their mind into a positive? Okay. And I'll answer 2 questions. One of Gagan and one of, sorry, I forgot the name. How do I turn the mind from the negativity to positivity? Jalsha Chakma. So, guys, Gagan asked a wonderful question. I am very much in my comfortable zone. Listen to me carefully. He says, sir, I'm very much in a comfortable zone. How do I come out of it? So, one thing is appreciable. First of all, those people who are in comfortable state, my dear friends, comfortable zones, my dear friends, be very happy. Do you know why? Comfortable zone means you are doing some action which is giving you happiness repetitively, but unfortunately, you don't know how to get out of it. You're stuck there and you're not seeing growth in it. Okay? So now, it only shows this much, my dear friends. You are in a comfortable zone and you're unable to get out of it because you are not ready to experiment new things. Anybody who is experimentative throughout the life. See, when I say experimentative of new things, somebody who is in the field of guitar should not start experimenting neuroscience suddenly. That's not what I mean. See, every profession has greater and greater depths within it. Every activity, I don't even use the word profession, that is very limited. Even in one relationship, okay? Even in a relationship will have so much of depth in it. So I know Venugopal sir for the last 10 years, but I can't claim to know Venugopal sir completely. I know him for the last 10 years, but probably we've never got a chance to explore the depth of Venugopal sir's personality. So even if you are living with your parents, with your spouse, with your cousins, with your somebody roommate or sibling, so it can be a relationship, it can be a profession, it can be an art, it can be anything. There are a lot of things around which experimentations can happen. What do we do most of the times? If I have assigned into a particular profession as a cashier, I want to retire as a cashier because I've never experimented out of this system called banking and being as a cashier in a small room or a small cubicle. So anybody who is experimentative with whatever he or she is doing, okay, such a person, trust me, is never going to settle down in a comfortable zone. Now, how do we withdraw our negative emotions and how do we acquire a lot of positive emotions? The next question, I will answer that in a much easier manner. My dear friends, why are we negative? Okay, please understand this. You have to understand the word negation first of all. That is when you get a better answer. Negation means no. For example, if I come and tell you, guys, can I have a cup of coffee with you? What will you do? You will negate no. That is what is called negativity. Negativity means heights of negation. I reject everything you give. So ask yourself, why is your mind rejecting everything around you? Imagine, my dear friends, I am watching a cricket match. My mother comes and asks me, Swaroop, have some food. No. Swaroop, can you go and drink some milk? No. So whatever question is posed at me, my answer is no. That is what is negation. Why is your mind negative? Why can't it be positive? The mind is negative because of only one reason, my dear friends. I am too obsessed with the existing thing. I am so obsessed with the existing thing that I'm not able to see life beyond this obsessed thing. Check what is your obsession. Come out of your obsession. You will automatically understand what is negation. Because negation is fixation to obsession. When you unfix yourself from an obsession, you will be able to move on to something new. You will say yes to new things. I repeat, negation is fixation with obsession. With whatever you are fixated today, with whatever you are obsessed today, you can move out and you will be able to take up life in a much beautiful manner, novel manner, my dear friends.
Swaroop sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Ready, sir?
Gagan is on line. He has some queries. It seems. Gagan,
Yes.
you can ask questions.
Yes, sir. Actually, I wanted to ask that comfort zone. I from my perspective, it's like if I want to go for a jog in the morning, I mean, I couldn't get up very early. I postpone it for 5 minutes, and it's well, like when I am awake, it's like 1 or 2 hours, and that day also it get cancels, and it's a vicious cycle, sir. So it gets in trouble. Also, when I look at some junk food, I want to eat it. I'm really attracted towards it, and I control as much as possible. Still, whenever I see something, I'm very fond of sweets. Actually, whenever I see the sweets, actually, I get very attracted towards it, and I couldn't control it.
Yes.
I eat upon. I go on eating and eating.
Binge eating, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how to come out of this situation? Whenever I encounter these kind of situations, how to come out of it?
Okay, guys. So I will end this session with one last question of Gagan. So Gagan has asked a very prominent question to say. I wouldn't say it's just a question, it is a very prominent question. So why are we like this? We become repetitive. My dear friends, there is no alternative response to this question. There is only one possible response. Listen to me carefully. Take a matchbox. Take a matchbox. Do this activity without fail today. By taking the matchbox, take out one stick, light it, throw it away. 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 You know what happens? This action is called not a regular action. This action is called as a repetitive action. This activity is not called as a regular action. This activity is called as a repetitive action. There are two kinds of actions we do, my dear friends. One is repetitive in nature. One is regular in nature. Repetitive actions are those actions which will not give you new results. Regular actions are those actions which will give you new result each passing day. If you take a matchbox, light 100 matchsticks this way for 1 year every day, all that would have burnt is 3,650 matchsticks. But there is no growth in it, there is no evolution in it, there is no maturity in it, there is no wisdom in it. But imagine you go to the gym, every day you lift the weights, you lift the same weight. But in a span of 1 year, your body would have toned so well. So why is that we are into a comfortable zone? The reason why we don't want to step out of comfortable zone because of only one reason. I don't have the motivation to expect a new result in life. Anybody who is seeking a new result in life, every moment of life, my dear friends, that person wouldn't do a repetitive actions. Anybody on this planet who seeks a new result every single day, mark my words, anybody on this planet who seeks a new result every single day would never do the old repetitive actions, and they would now stick on to the new regular activities, because new regular activities will give you new results. The problem is not with lethargy. The problem is with the mindset that I am happy. The day you are unhappy about your life, dissatisfied with your life, is the day you would move on towards happiness, my dear friends. It takes a change in the outlook. And I think look at life not from a repetitive perspective, but a regularity perspective. For this, you need to train your mind over 20-30 days. Try to seek new answers, new thoughts, novelty in every action you perform. In 30 days, your lethargy is going to go away, because somebody who is used to novelty will not do the same activity. That's my answer. And I thank Venugopal sir and Principal Vishwanathaya sir for having given me this opportunity to present my thoughts. Thank you so much, the entire management who thought it's worth investing some time on me for about an hour. And thank you for all those students who've been patiently listening. Hope we get a chance to meet live very soon, and we can have some more discussion in the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah, time has come to say thank you, Swarup sir. Thank you very much for your really. I was expecting something like it's going to be a new, it's going to be a normal topic. That is what my initial thoughts were. But the vertical dimensions you gave to the same normal regularity of our life is really something which we need to consider very seriously in our life. Thank you very much for your insightful thoughts, and I thank all my respected colleagues, all the respected head of the departments. I thank Professor Venkatesh BB sir for his valuable time and setting up the tone. And I thank our department head, Dr. Jaya Patil, for letting us organizing this webinar. And I thank my colleague, Professor Nagaratna Madam. And I thank IQAC, and I thank Dr. Vishwanathaya, beloved principal sir. I thank all the participants who are active, who have actively participated in this webinar. Thank you very much, guys. I know it's lunch time for you guys. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Swarup sir. I'll get back to you very soon. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Guys, yeah. Guys, you can leave the session, and thank you.